Broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news update from all over the province. This is News at 12. In the local scene, MO Party List Representative Leila De Lima visited Governor Noel Rosal and joined the flag-raising ceremony at the Albay capital for the celebration of the National Children's Month. De Lima pointed out the need for collective action to protect children from online exploitation, trafficking, and stress. Education and awareness are key to preventing these threats. The lawmaker also warned against rising functional illiteracy among Filipino youth. De Lima reiterated that education should remain the government's top priority, receiving the largest budget allocation under the Constitution. Her visit highlighted a shared commitment between national and local leaders to promote child protection and quality education. In other story, the provincial government of Albay conducted a Peace Day caravan in Kamalig to support former rebels as they reintegrate into their communities. Spearheaded by the Provincial Social Welfare and Development Office, the event provided livelihood kits, hygiene supplies, and agricultural support to 50 beneficiaries. Partner agencies include the DTI, PSA, PhilHealth, and Provincial Health Office extended various services during the event. The activity highlighted the province's commitment to peace and reconciliation by helping former rebels rebuild their lives and contribute to their communities. In other news, the Pink Thunders, representing the Provincial Health Office, provincial and district hospitals, and the Albay Provincial Jail, danced their way to victory in the Zumba competition at the PGA Sports Fest 2025. Team leader Anthony Ludovice said their hard work and dedication finally paid off. He also thanked PHO head Dr. Estrella Senate, along with hospital and jail officials, for their support. The Red Lava team finished as first runner-up, while the Green Titans placed second runner-up. The Zumba event served as one of the opening highlights of the Sports Fest, promoting fitness, camaraderie, and team spirit among the PGA employees. In the national scene, several groups led by Simbahan at Komunidad Laban sa Katiwalian Siklab are demanding quick action from the government on the flood control corruption issue. They want the ombudsman to file charges and freeze the assets of those involved, as recommended by the Independent Commission for Infrastructure (ICI). Akbayan President Rafaela David said cases should be filed before Christmas, and a trillion peso march on November 30 will serve as a countdown for justice. Jean Enriquez of Kalipunan ng Kilusan ng Masa said the people are angry and will not stop until the corrupt are jailed. The groups also called for the suspension of lawmakers linked to the scandal, saying they should not stay in office where they can influence investigations. Sylvia Estrada Claudio of Tindig Pilipinas said ordinary workers are suspended while facing charges, and the same should apply to public officials. Pete Pinlac of Makati Employees Against Corruption added that this is a preventive step to stop interference in the case. The groups also asked the Ombudsman to investigate the confidential and intelligence funds of Vice President Sara Duterte. They announced a series of protests this November, leading to the big trillion peso march on November 30 at EDSA. Events include the White Friday protest at the EDSA Shrine on November 7, the White Ribbon Walk versus Corruption in Makati on November 14, a student action against corruption on November 17, and another protest during the Christ the Servant King Centennial celebration on November 23. The group said their message is clear. The people want justice, and they want it now. In other story, the Independent Commission for Infrastructure (ICI) has secured over 41.48 million pesos from the Department of Budget and Management (DBM) to support its operation until the end of 2025. The release of funds was approved by the Office of the President upon the recommendation of the DBM and will be sourced from the 2025 Contingent Fund. The budget will cover the Commission's operational needs and capital outlay, including the hiring of 172 contractual employees and their procurement of equipment for live streaming hearings and other official activities. This funding is expected to help the Commission effectively carry out its mandate under Executive Number 94, which created the ICI to oversee and review major infrastructure projects in the country. Before the release of the budget, the ICI had been operating with limited resources. Most of its staff were temporarily detailed from other government agencies, and even commission members had not been receiving their salaries. With the newly approved funding, the ICI will be able to form its own organic staff composed of lawyers, accountants, and engineers. When the budget is released, the Commission plans to prioritize personnel services, operational expenses, and the acquisition of equipment necessary for its work. In other news, House Committee on Public Accounts Chairperson Terry Redon has clarified that the panel's upcoming investigation into the Manila Bay Dolomite Beach project is not targeting former President Rodrigo Duterte. This comes after claims by Davao City Representative Paulo Duterte that the probe is politically motivated. Redon emphasized that the inquiry is part of the Congress's oversight duties, focusing on whether the project was necessary and whether there were any irregularities or kickbacks involved. The first hearing, scheduled for November 19, will examine the project's compliance with the Manila Bay Sustainable Development Master Plan and the Supreme Court's continuing mandamus for Manila Bay's rehabilitation. The panel will also assess the project's impact on flooding in adjacent areas, as well as alternative solutions for cleaning and preserving Manila Bay. ACT Teachers Party List Representative Antonio Tinio has expressed support for the probe, calling the project costly and ineffective, and stating that it did not constitute a true rehabilitation of Manila Bay, despite using over 600 million pesos during the pandemic. Chairperson Redon reiterated that the investigation aims to ensure proper management of public funds and to find ways to improve Manila Bay's water quality for safe recreational use. And in the news outside the country, following Tanzania's October 29 election, in which President Samia Suluhu Hassan won by a large margin, protests erupted over the exclusion of opposition candidates. The main opposition party, Chadema, claims security forces used lethal force during the unrest and have documented around 2,000 deaths. Chadema also accused police of secretly disposing of hundreds of bodies at unknown locations. Chadema leader Tundu Lissu was arrested on treason charges, and the party was barred from participating in the elections. Authorities imposed a nationwide curfew, restricted internet access, and limited the sharing of photos and videos from the protests. Chadema officials, including spokesperson Brenda Rupia, said that they fear for their safety, while international organizations and governments have expressed concern. The African Union called the violence extremely concerning, while the Foreign Ministry of Canada, Norway, and the UK cited credible reports of a large number of fatalities and significant injuries. Human Rights Watch accused the Tanzanian government of responding to protests with lethal force and other abuses. President Hassan, Tanzania's first female president, acknowledged deaths during the protests. in her inauguration speech, but did not provide the death toll. The situation remains tense with concerns over ongoing political repression and human rights violations. In other story, Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that Russia continues to follow the international ban on nuclear weapons testing and currently has no plans to resume tests. He warned that if the United States or other countries that are part of the treaty begin testing nuclear weapons, Russia may respond with appropriate and proportionate measures. Putin has instructed government ministries and agencies to prepare proposals on how Russia could get ready for nuclear testing if necessary. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov emphasized that nothing has been decided yet and that Russia remains committed to its obligations under the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. This statement comes shortly after U.S. President Donald Trump announced plans to start nuclear testing programs, raising concerns about a possible renewed nuclear arms race. And finally, in the news outside the country, the Philippines and the United States have launched Task Force Philippines, a joint initiative aimed at strengthening military cooperation and disaster response capabilities. The task force is intended to enhance regional security, particularly in the West Philippine Sea, and improve the Philippines' ability to respond to natural disasters such as typhoons and floods. It will focus on joint training, coordinating, and preparedness between the Philippines and U.S. forces to enable faster and more efficient response during crisis. The initiative was announced by Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. and U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth during the ASEAN Defense Ministers' meeting in Kuala Lumpur. Details about the size, structure, and specific operations of the task force have not yet been disclosed. And that's all for the News at 12, November 7, 2025. We'll be back next week for more news updates. And thanks to our news writer, LJ Lorejo and Yomi Ruth Hernandez. And on the technical side, Ted Bobis. Our Provincial Information Officer, OIC Marty Gonzalez. And under the supervision of our Governor, Noel Rizal, I am Greg Hallare. Thank you for subscribing.